business with family ever.
Breaking news now at 5. A stunning verdict comes down in the Kate Steinle murder trial. Jose Inez Garcia Zarate acquitted of murder and manslaughter, the most serious charges he was facing.
Now, the jury's decision announced just minutes ago. Here is the breakdown of the verdict. Garcia Zarate not guilty of first or second degree murder. He was acquitted on the lesser charge of manslaughter as well. The only conviction in this case, jurors found him guilty of felony possession of a firearm. It was a major defeat for the prosecution. Prosecution failed to convince jurors that Garcia Zarate deliberately targeted Steinle. Jurors siding with the defense, who had argued the shooting was a complete accident. 32-year-old Kate Steinle shot in July of 2015. She was taking an evening stroll with her dad on San Francisco's Pier 14. The gun used was stolen from a car belonging to an agent for the U.S. Bureau of Land Management. And we have a series of reports on the verdict.
Let's go live to KPIX 5 reporter Andria Borba, who was inside the courtroom for the jury's decision. Andria?
Well, it was really a stunning verdict. There was a lot of surprise in the courtroom over what this jury came back with this afternoon in the Zarate case. After the verdicts were finally read, all of them, Zarate hugged his attorney, Matt Gonzalez, with the public defender's office. Now, we have learned in the short amount of time since this case has let out that that Mr. Zarate will face 16 months to 3 years on a felony in possession of a firearm charge, but time served counts in this case. After the courtroom let out, Mr. Gonzalez went in front of the cameras and had this to say.
This jury's verdict should be respected. They heard the evidence. They deliberated as a group. They heard readback testimony. They looked at the physical evidence, and they rendered a verdict to the best of their abilities in accordance with the law. I want to thank the public defender of San Francisco, Jeff Adachi, who has given us support throughout the trial. He's given us good advice, and we're very grateful for his assistance and help and support. For those who might criticize this verdict, there are a number of people that have commented on this case in the last couple of years. The Attorney General of the United States, the President and Vice President of the United States. Let me just remind them that they are themselves under investigation by a special prosecutor in Washington, D.C., and they may themselves soon avail themselves of the presumption of innocence and the beyond a reasonable doubt standard. And so I would ask them to reflect on that before they comment or disparage the result in this case.
Now, to reiterate here, Mr. Zarate was not found guilty of first-degree murder, second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, or being in possession of a semi-automatic weapon. He was only found to be guilty to be a felon in possession of a firearm. We have learned just in the past few minutes that there is, in fact, a federal ICE warrant out for Mr. Zarate in this case right now. It is unclear when exactly the sentencing will happen or when he might be turned over to federal authorities. Ken?
Yeah, so it's a good distinction. He faces federal charges as well. I want to know about the emotion inside that courtroom, and I'm assuming there were some Steinle family members inside when that verdict was read. Can you tell us, were they absolutely shocked?
It was stunned silence in there, Ken. It was absolute stunned silence. Nobody was anticipating that this would be the outcome, that it would only be a guilty on the felony in possession of a firearm, which has a very low standard of proof for a jury to come back with a guilty verdict.
All right, Andria Borba, thanks for your live work there at the courthouse. We want to switch right now to our KPIX 5 legal analyst, Melissa Kane, who joins us now. And Melissa, it is a bit of a surprise. We talked about it before the jury came back, and we were looking at the possibility of a second-degree murder charge, but they didn't even get that.
I mean, it just goes to show you that beyond a reasonable doubt is a really high standard. Look, it's common knowledge that in San Francisco, getting a guilty verdict is incredibly difficult. And in this case, it looks like the prosecution just could not convince those jurors that he pulled the trigger, that he knew what he was doing, that he pulled the trigger, maybe aiming at her for a first-degree murder, maybe not aiming at her for second-degree murder. But clearly, the fact that they could not even get negligent murder, that's what that involuntary manslaughter is, that's negligence. They couldn't even prove that he was negligent, means that we've just got this gun charge that's based on his prior felonies.
Yeah, illegal possession of a firearm. What does that mean? And he could serve a maximum of 3 years, but he's also getting credit for time served. So he could be out in less than a year, 6 months maybe.
He could be out at the date of sentencing, frankly, because he's already been in jail for more than 18 months. So he's already been convicted. When he was coming into this, he had already been convicted of 7 felonies. And so that's what that felony possession of a firearm means. It means that someone who's been convicted of felonies, as he had 7 times, who is in possession of a firearm. And what's important about this is that it means the jury thinks that he knew that that was a gun, right? He says it was wrapped in a shirt. Maybe he didn't know what it was, but they're saying he knew it was a gun, but clearly they think that it went off accidentally. Now, and as Andria was just saying, there is an ICE warrant for him, so even if he were to try to walk out of the courtroom today, they would be right there to pick him up, because while we may be a sanctuary city, we have to respect warrants, not necessarily requests from ICE, but those actual official warrants from judges have to be respected. He will be turned over to the federal authorities.
The defense team spent a lot of time on forensics, and one of the things that was really telling was they were able to bring in experts to say this was a ricochet. This was not a point and shoot. This was the gun went off, and in fact they found the spot on the pier where the concrete was chipped, that bullet traveling then I don't know how many yards to hit the victim and kill her. But still, there's a loss of life here, and all we have is a possession charge.
Well, I mean, the ricochet was the problem for the first-degree murder, right? First-degree murder means that you planned a murder, and you just can't plan ricochets. And so that was generally thought to be sort of a long shot. But second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, that's basically you're negligent, you're grossly negligent in a public place, pulling a trigger, even if it's something that ricochets. The fact that you pulled a trigger on a pier where there's other people means that you're being negligent. So what this jury verdict tells us is that they don't think that he pulled the trigger. And that's why we didn't get to any of those convictions.
And I think Matt Gonzalez, the defense attorney, is correct when he says there will be a lot of speculation over this and a lot of talk about it.
Oh, certainly. I mean, we're waiting for the tweet from the president any second now.
Yeah. Melissa Kane, thank you for that analysis. More on this story, obviously, including the political fallout from this case. That'll be coming up at 6 o'clock.
And only on 5, a terrifying tumble caught on camera. A passenger goes flying out of a car as it spins donuts in San Francisco's Excelsior district. KPIX 5 reporter Da Lin is there now with the story behind the solo sideshow gone horribly wrong. Da?
Yeah, Les, dramatic footage basically reinforcing what the neighbors have been saying. If you play with fire, you're going to get burned. And that's exactly what happened. That teenager who was tossed out of that car, well, it appears he's dealing with some serious injuries. A black Camaro spinning donuts. Pay attention to the passenger side. Oh! Here's another look. Somehow the passenger is ejected from the moving car. The teen is on the ground screaming in pain.
This broke something. Got ran over, blood.
The driver picked up the teenager, put him in the car, and drove off. Happened yesterday, just after 2 o'clock at the intersection of Excelsior Avenue and Naples Street, in front of Don Chewy's Mexican store.
He cried, you know, to say, hi, you know.
He was crying.
Yeah, oh yeah, because it's hurt.
The store owner says the teen is around 16 or 17 years old. His store surveillance cameras captured bystanders' reaction, people running over to help. One person in the store was terrified. They know the teen. They say he recently came into the store with crutches from another injury.
That's what happens when, you know, you play with fire, you get burned.
Neighbors say the roundabout installed at the intersection earlier this year is having the opposite effect. They believe the city put it in to prevent sideshows and speeding.
It's like an obstacle course, you know. It's like without it, it's no fun. Now it's fun for them because it's more challenging.
San Francisco police did not know about this incident until we showed them the video. So they don't have any information beyond what was seen in the video. We don't know how that teenager is doing or whether he was taken to SF General. But I can tell you, Liz, the neighbors are happy that that hopefully they will learn from this, and they hope that he will be doing okay. Back to you, Liz.
Yeah, and it's shocking that this happened in broad daylight. Most of the times we see these types of cases and they're in the middle of the night and not a lot of people around.
No, apparently it happens quite often here. When I was here, I saw a dirt bike doing some wheelies out up this hill. So, pretty.
Yeah. All right, Dot. Thank you.
Well, our top national story tonight, stock market blowing through another milestone. The Dow closing up more than 330 points today. NASDAQ and the S&P 500 also in record territory. The president quick to take credit, tweeting, the Dow just broke 24,000 for the first time, another all-time record. If the Dems had won the presidential election, the market would be down 50% from these levels, and consumer confidence, which is also at an all-time high, would be low and glum. Those are the president's words. This is the fifth 1,000-point milestone this year alone. Analysts say strength in the economy, corporate earnings, especially in the tech sector, are big drivers in this market, but there is no question what's happening on Capitol Hill is having an impact.
A lot of the optimism right now for the stock market is coming for tax reform, in particular after Republican Senator John McCain said he would support the tax bill right now in the Senate.
But the tax reform is far from a done deal tonight. CBS reporter Weijia Jiang on Capitol Hill, where Republican Senate leaders are still trying to secure those 50 votes they need. They don't have them yet, Weijia?
Not quite yet, Ken, but they are feeling good. We just learned in the past hour that they won't be taking a vote tonight. That's because they have about 20 hours of allotted time to debate, and so far they've only plowed through half of that. Then they have an unlimited amount of amendments they can make, so we do expect that vote to happen sometime tomorrow. And you're right, they're not yet at that magic number, but GOP leaders think it's only a matter of time.
President Trump told an enthusiastic crowd in Missouri that tax relief is coming their way.
With Trump as your president, we are going to be celebrating Merry Christmas again, and it's going to be done with a big, beautiful tax cut.
But the president still has to win over some reluctant Republicans. At least 9 GOP senators have expressed concerns about the tax reform bill. During a trip to Capitol Hill Tuesday, the president agreed to a provision that will automatically trigger increased taxes if the bill fails to stimulate the economy.
What I have done is ask for a backstop to be in place to say, in case the economic numbers are not reached, there will be a way to be able to recover some of those revenues. So yes, I am on board with this bill.
But the idea of automatic tax hikes has conservative groups aggressively lobbying Republican senators to get rid of the proposal.
Just the idea of a trigger in a tax hike would be overall counterproductive.
James Davis represents Freedom Partners, a conservative group whose board is made up almost entirely of employees of the billionaire Koch brothers.
It sounds like you're concerned this trigger could actually backfire.
Yeah, I do. I think it weakens the overall tax bill, and so we're hopeful that the Senate moves forward without it.
The Senate is expected to take up a final vote on the tax reform bill later this week.
The House revised its schedule for next week, with House Speaker Paul Ryan advising members to come back a day early so they can take a vote to move the tax bill forward. That's a strong indication that they are confident their colleagues in the Senate will pass it by then. We're live on Capitol Hill. Weijia Jiang, KPIX 5.
Coming up, he's not even on a team, and he's still winning awards from Sports Illustrated. The historic honor picked up today by Colin Kaepernick.
Also, how Nancy Pelosi was called out after flip-flopping her stance on embattled Congressman John Conyers.
And we're live in Santa Rosa with today's major milestone in the wildfire cleanup, plus the brand new plans from one contractor to rebuild Coffey Park.
A big milestone in the wildfire cleanup. Just a couple of hours ago, the government released 56 properties in Sonoma County and the city of Santa Rosa back to their owners. The lots have been cleared of all debris and the properties passed environmental testing. This means the owners can start to rebuild on those lots tomorrow if they can. This is the first batch of lots to be officially turned over to owners. Of course, there are still thousands more that have to be cleared. But KPIX 5 reporter Emily Turner says this is a big step in the rebuilding process. And in fact, one developer in Coffey Park is moving fast. Emily?
Exactly. When I say quickly, that they're moving quickly, we're talking in a matter of months. This builder says that he can get some homeowners back inside of a home, taking a lot like this, by the summertime.
Boom, boom, signed it, and boom, boom, and here they are, and they've already got it clear.
He was an original homeowner in Coffey Park, and that home is exactly what he wants to see back on this newly cleared lot.
We've been here 30-something years, or 30 years, yeah. And we just want to get back in it real bad.
And that's why he's already working with builders to make it happen. One of those builders is John Allen with APM Homes. He's got 9 of the original Coffey Park floor plans and a plan to rebuild 500 lots.
The emphasis on utilizing the same footprint and floor plan is to fast track the process through the city so we can essentially get an over-the-counter permit and get these homes built back very quickly.
He's talking move-in dates next summer and is already bringing the old plans up to new codes, as well as working with financial institutions to have funding in place for the people who want to build with him. The more who do, the cheaper it becomes for everyone, he says.
If we were to take on one single home as itself, you could be looking at pricing from $300 to $350 a square foot. By taking and dividing that cost over 20, 30, 100 homes, you can then get that cost down to $240.
He says the contractors are lined up and ready to go. He's just recruiting the neighborhood. But for folks like Lloyd, it's a no-brainer.
Not hunting for any more, any less. Just want to get it done to where we can get inside of it.
The city of Santa Rosa is doing everything they can to make sure that this process moves as quickly as possible. Also, they've brought in an outside contractor who is operating an entirely separate permitting center to deal specifically with fire-related permits so that folks who lost their home or had to move because of the fire are able to get back into their home as quickly as possible. Reporting live from Coffey Park, Emily Turner, KPIX 5.
And some people who lost homes in Coffey Park have been putting up Christmas trees where their houses once stood. Most of the decorated trees are in the middle of those empty lots and are lit up at night. One family that lost a home in the Tubbs fire has recorded a YouTube video. They say putting up a Christmas tree amid the devastation really sent an important message.
We're here tonight putting a Christmas tree in our lot because we want it to symbolize the hope that our community has instilled within us and how we've come together, and to symbolize we're going to rebuild.
We're just kind of hoping to inspire other people to do this. Kind of create a little bit of a movement to just bring a little bit of joy to all this chaos.
Well, the Woods family was able to evacuate safely with their pets in the early hours of October 9th.
5 people were hurt in a 2-alarm fire at a senior apartment building in San Francisco. It broke out on the 7th floor of the building at 15th and Dolores early this afternoon. Firefighters had it under control at about half an hour. No word on how the fire started or how many people were displaced. But we are told all 5 people who were hurt are expected to be okay.
The man arrested for a deadly hit and run on Interstate 80 faced a judge this afternoon. Authorities say 47-year-old Fred Lowe was drunk when he caused a 5-car pileup in San Pablo on Saturday. Lowe fled the scene, but the CHP caught up with him. 2 sets of fathers and sons from the same family were killed. Today, Mr. Lowe was arraigned in Richmond on 7 charges, 4 counts of murder, DUI, repeated DUI, and fleeing the scene.
There is more than sufficient evidence to file the murder charges. I'm confident that we'll achieve success in this case and hopefully bring some measure of justice to the victims.
The court records show the suspect is being held on a $4.2 million bond.
A senior congressman accused of sexual misconduct is under growing pressure to resign. The top Democrat in the House is now adding her voice. John Conyers of Michigan is the longest-serving member of Congress. Multiple women have recently accused him of harassment, and he has acknowledged that there was a financial settlement on one case. Today, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi said Conyers should step down.
It's very sad.
The brave women who came forward are owed justice. I pray for Congressman Conyers and his family and wish them well. However, Congressman Conyers should resign.
Nancy Pelosi did not elect the congressman, and she sure as hell won't be the one to tell the congressman to leave.
Conyers, who is 88 years old, is currently in a hospital with what his family calls a stress-related illness.
Colin Kaepernick making history. A former 49er quarterback has earned the Muhammad Ali Legacy Award. That award by Sports Illustrated goes to athletes who use sports as a platform to change the world. Kaepernick drew attention last season when he knelt down during the national anthem to protest racial injustice. That award will be presented next Tuesday in New York. Kaepernick is the youngest winner to receive the award. Earlier this month, he was also named GQ's Citizen of the Year.
Another day, another change in your weekend forecast. Coming up, which part of the Bay Area may see some rainfall over which part of the weekend. Now that's pretty. The view from Mount Baca right now. Your forecast next.
And coming up all new at 6 o'clock tonight, a dramatic change in tone from Nancy Pelosi. 4 days ago, she called John Conyers an icon. Today, she said he should resign. Former Mayor Willie Brown weighs in on the Democrats leading the about face.
Another good-looking sunset out there. Cirrus cloud cover, thank you, because if we just had no cloud cover, it'd be a good-looking sunset. That's a little extra special right there. 60 degrees in Santa Rosa, 62 in San Jose. Upper 50s for Oakland, Livermore, and San Francisco after another mild and dry day, leading to a chilly night. Not cold. We could be below freezing. We may be next week, but not tonight. Livermore 39, Fairfield 38. Some of the cooler spots. Santa Rosa down to 37. Now those are in the cities. Get outside the city, it could be 35 or 36 degrees. Oakland 46, San Jose 43, San Francisco 48 degrees. Doesn't look very impressive right now, but this ridge of high pressure, which is now due west of Los Angeles, is going to build stronger and closer and sit right off the California coastline next week, keeping us with absolutely no chance of rain. There's only one opportunity for some rainfall. That'll be Saturday afternoon. After this storm moves through, there's another one that will ride over this ridge and may clip the North Bay with a few light rain showers. Tomorrow on Futurecast, we are sunny once again. Clouds building offshore, but we're dry around here. You wake up Saturday, it's going to look different. It's going to feel different. It will not be as chilly because cloud cover moved in overnight. It also obviously will not be as sunny. Now watch Futurecast around 2, 3 o'clock. That's it. Couple drips of rain, that's it. Napa, Sonoma, Lake, Mendocino County, perhaps as far south as Marin County. I don't think it makes it south of the Golden Gate. We'll watch some showers hug the coastline up toward Humboldt County on Sunday morning, but even by Sunday late morning, the clouds are beginning to thin out, and we're looking at sunshine for all of next week. Not terribly warm, but it will be sunny and dry. How much rainfall? 1/100th of an inch. A few drops around San Rafael and Napa, slightly more for you in Ukiah, where you may receive 1/10 of an inch of rain Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. That's it. Clouds increase late on Friday as the storm will pass by the north. Couple showers Saturday afternoon in the North Bay, and then we clear out Sunday, and then we're likely dry for a while. Every single long-range computer model does not paint a drop of rain for anywhere in Northern California for the first half of December. Wow. 65 in Concord tomorrow, sunshine in Livermore 66, San Francisco 61, San Jose sunshine 67 degrees. North Bay rain shower Saturday afternoon, clearing skies on Sunday, and then we just set it and forget it. It's all about the sunshine with highs in the 60s next Monday through next Thursday. That is your forecast. We'll be right back.
We want to get you an update on our breaking story. The jury in the Kate Steinle murder case acquitting the defendants on the most serious of the charges. Jose Inez Garcia Zarate found not guilty of murder or manslaughter. Instead, he was convicted of a firearms charge. The verdict, a stunning defeat for prosecutors who argued Steinle's death was a deliberate act. The Steinle family has issued a statement to the Chronicle. Their quote, "Justice was rendered, but it was not served." We are still gathering reaction from the courthouse. We just heard from the prosecutors.
Of course, we'll have more on that verdict, including the first tweet from the Trump administration. Didn't take long. Coming up after the CBS Evening News.